Welcome to another episode of the Mixtape Mayonnaise Podcast. I'm your host, Cole.
And I'm Court.
And today we have a movie episode. We just went and saw the new Odyssey movie that just came out. It's directed by Christopher Nolan.
Promise me you will come back.
What if I can't?
But before we get into that, it's been a minute since we saw each other, Court. How have you been?
I've been good, Cole. Yeah, been listening to lots of good music and
Seeing a lot of movies, or not really? I haven't really been watching a whole lot of movies recently.
no, I haven't.
It's kind of funny for our
haven't.
podcast.
I will say I was watching my nephews the other day, and I put on My Neighbor Totoro, which I actually have never seen. It's one of the only studio
Ghibli.
that I haven't seen, and I really liked it. We weren't able to finish it, so I'm hoping next time I babysit we can
Finish the movie.
finish it. Yeah,
That's a good one. I think the last movie I saw was I rented this movie called Old Henry. I think it was on like Tubi. Well, I didn't rent it, but I streamed it, and it's like it's an old Western. It's like kind of indie film.
Oh, cool.
But it has
Was it good?
Tim Blake Nelson. Yeah, it was really good. And I haven't watched like a good Western, like a Western that I was like super excited about in a long time.
How long ago was it made?
It was like 2017.
Somewhere in there.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I did. And then what we were just talking before we recorded, me and Tabitha just went on this like weekend tour that was kind of fun. We went and played some music in Seattle and Portland, and we got to play with Happy Death Man, who we've had on the podcast. And they put on an awesome show in Portland. And then me and Tabitha got to live out one of our dreams. We got to open for Snooper, which was
Super cool.
pretty insane.
Very cool. I was so sad I had to miss that show.
Yeah, that was.
But to be fair, I had a big event in my life. My brother just graduated.
That's a big deal. You got to go for that. Yeah, but playing for Snooper, that was super exciting. So, but now it's like finally we're home. And we
hoping
get
to kind of take a little rest.
Little bit of a rest, from playing music. But it's fun because now we can focus. We can do the podcast more now. So we have some exciting guests coming on, though, for everybody.
Yeah.
For our listeners. So I'm excited for that. But, we've been talking about seeing the Odyssey for a little bit now, and we thought today would be a perfect day to talk about it and release this episode. So
now, I will give a little bit of a disclaimer. We just watched it. Like, we came out of the theater, got lunch, and then started recording. And so I wanted to mostly go into the movie blind, so I haven't researched very much about it.
Yeah.
I have seen a couple clips of like interviews and stuff. But mostly I will just be providing my
initial thoughts and take on it.
Gut reaction to it all. It's a long movie, but for me personally, with the story of the Odyssey, it is kind of this epic tale, and you want to hit key moments in it, right? Without, it didn't feel like it was unnecessarily padded or anything as far as time went for me. But be prepared to sit down for a long movie. I would say to people, I thought it was great. It was definitely, you could sense the scale of what Christopher Nolan wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's a very like epic retelling of it, and I have more thoughts, but I want to hear
one of the things we probably should tell everybody is we didn't get to see it in IMAX.
No.
We just because of where we live, we don't have an IMAX
The
theater.
nearest IMAX is like 3 hours.
Yeah, so we didn't
away.
do that. So yeah, we didn't maybe fully watch it the way like Christopher
Yeah.
Nolan wanted people to watch it, but I still feel like I don't think it took away that much. I mean, yeah, maybe the aspect ratio is like a little different, but
Yeah.
the storytelling is still there.
Yeah.
And the scope of it is still there. But it would be I do want at some point it would be fun to go watch it in IMAX. And
It'd be
kinda
really
see.
cool to see it with
I mean,
film with IMAX.
yeah, and obviously everybody's been talking about, the whole movie was shot on an IMAX camera, and they had to do all these things, like make the camera quiet when they were filming, and then develop these like mirror systems so that actors could act and the camera not being in the way. Which all that stuff's cool, but yeah, the main thing is the story and the epicness of the movie, which I thought was cool. I did like how the movie opens up with Travis Scott, the rapper.
Yeah.
Did you realize that was him? He is kind of starting off the tale of Odysseus,
Yeah.
and in poem form, which is cool.
Right.
So it kind of harkens back to the original source from Homer, since it's just a massive poem and story. So I thought that was cool to open the film up with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I the first thing I noticed was the sound, obviously, because before you even like see what's going on when he's telling the story, he slams a staff down on the table and repeatedly does that as to like create a dramatic effect for the story, and that immediately like gets your attention. It was really loud.
Oh yeah, they mixed this thing freaking loud. Like when we
Yeah.
were, the loudest part is the Cyclops scene.
That was really loud.
I literally had to like close my ears.
Yeah.
That was loud, and then the scene when they're kind of in the storm on the boat.
That was
That was
loud.
so freaking loud.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting choice. It really makes the film seem massive and on a grand scale
Yeah.
because of that. But yeah, that was like a haunting noise. The noise of the Cyclops screaming.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I don't know how they did that, but that was pretty nuts. I'm gonna have to look into that.
You know,
as far as sound design,
that is one thing I saw a clip on.
Oh, yeah?
And I don't know exactly how they did it, but at least online there was speculation, because remember when the Cyclops, after he's like done like just like viscerally screaming, there's like a part where he's kind of like moaning and loudly like saying things, but you can't really understand what he's saying.
oh yeah, you can.
There's speculation online. I don't know if this has been confirmed or not. Again, I didn't really do a lot of research, that he is saying like, I am the son of Poseidon. Why did you do this to me?
Oh really?
Yeah.
You just can't hear it. I wonder if it's because it's so low, because it is kind
Yeah,
of a
I think
low
they
rumble.
distorted it, and yeah, if that's true. Yeah.
Interesting. Did you ever read the Odyssey?
Yeah, I read it very abridged.
You did.
I think it was
You
abridged.
didn't read the whole thing.
I don't think I ever read the full thing.
I read it in college. I took this class called like Great Books of the World,
Oh, nice.
and we had to read that. That was like one of the books we read that semester.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, I don't remember a whole lot from it because it's a weird thing to read like a whole poem, in
Right.
that form, because it's a thick book. It's like this.
Plus,
big.
it's like, in a way, it's like episodic in a way, like where it's like
Yeah.
this random thing happens and then this random thing, and then, but at the same time, I think that there's a reason those things are in it.
Yeah.
I don't think they're truly random, but they
And-
feel like, oh, what's the new like misadventure they're gonna have? Yeah.
And I did like how Nolan, he doesn't. The story is non-linear, in a sense, because it's like there's
Yeah,
like flashbacks and like things,
flashbacks.
but it still is. I feel like he presented the story as a whole in a really great way.
I
It's
agree.
like you can really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
With the story.
And
when
he
you're
didn't
reading-
over-explain things either.
Yeah, they didn't over-explain things. They showed things, and there's like subtleties too in there. Like there's a flashback of showing Odysseus when he's hunting a boar and it like stabs his leg, and then later on in the film when that lady's washing his feet,
She sees
she
a scar.
sees. So it's like these cool like little things
Yeah.
that aren't said but are shown,
Yeah.
and then it gives weight to those things.
Yeah. Like one thing that it definitely didn't explain was like who Calypso is
Yeah.
really, which I actually think that was cool. I mean, everybody, well, maybe not everybody, a lot of people have heard of, you know.
Because she was a sea nymph, is what
Yeah.
she was. Yeah.
Yeah. So that whole part I thought was interesting that they just like throw you into it without explaining much.
Yeah. What do you think about Matt Damon though being cast as Odysseus?
I thought he did. I thought he did well with the role. I could see in someone else's hands how it could have been overacted. I
Yeah.
also could see that some people might, and I think I would put myself in this camp slightly, see his performance as somewhat muted and flat for much of it, other than there's a few key moments where he expresses a lot of emotion. But I would say overall, just his delivery of lines and stuff. And granted, he's supposed to be kind of a stoic
Person, yeah.
figure, but yeah, but there are moments where he delivers emotion powerfully. But I thought he did well. What about you?
I remember like initially thinking like, oh, Matt Damon, wow. But he definitely got jacked for the role.
Yeah.
He was fit. It was believable, and they did have to get like obviously they had to get like an older actor because he's been gone for 7 years.
Right.
You know, you kind of have to get someone that's a little older. I think I would also agree with you. Like, I don't think emotionally he was that interesting of a character, but
Yeah.
I mean, Odysseus is in the book. Like when you read the book, his main flaw is his pride,
Yeah.
which is showed a little bit in the movie. Like when he shoots the Cyclops when they're leaving, like he does like these certain things, but in the book, he's way more like of a prideful person.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. Like Nolan's portrayal of Odysseus isn't necessarily his weakness is not his pride. It's like almost,
I would say it was there.
yeah. I mean it's there, but it's not as there as the book. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
And then, but I feel like this version, like Nolan was going more of like a soldier with PTSD.
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
I definitely could see that.
A lot of trauma.
And if you think about like the people who would be sharing stories after a war and kind of the way that people try to fill in the gaps and tell themselves kind of a narrative of what was done, like I imagined like if Odysseus's son, not that these are like true histories exactly, but if Odysseus's son, you know, never knew his father for his
Most of his life.
most of his life, how as a son you'd want to believe, you know, that your dad
He's gonna come back and
had all these adventures
Yeah.
and was heroic and wise and so yeah. But what I was gonna say though, with as far as like his flaws, I feel like it does present him as a flawed man and in some ways kind of a man who's been broken by war and by the aftermath of the war.
Yeah, and seeing the brutality of war. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
big thing that the movie kind of ends on.
Well, but what I was going to say, like right out the gate, I was like, he seems like he's making decisions arrogantly, because right out the gate, he's like, once they are leaving to come home, they're all like, "Oh, we should follow. We're not going to follow
yeah.
Agamemnon or however you
Yeah.
say his name." And he's like, "I followed him long enough, and
We're gonna do our own thing.
we're gonna try this
Yeah.
other route. And if we're lucky, and if the wind goes the right direction, we'll be able to see other lands and be home before Agamemnon." I don't know how to say that guy's name.
Agamemnon.
Yeah. And I'm
Like, things
immediately I was like, okay, well,
Like
that's
things are just
arrogant.
things are just
Yeah.
gonna work out.
Yeah.
Like you didn't read the Odyssey, but did you know like the main
Yeah.
like key?
Like I said, I read
points in
like
the
an
story?
abridged version of
Okay.
it.
So
that hit on some of the key moments.
Yeah.
For me, if you approach this film thinking that he's a hero in the modern sense of the word, you're going to feel like it glosses over like his flaws, I feel like. But if you approach it from more of the classical meaning of the word hero, basically just like great people doing great deeds, not necessarily moral exemplars, and you're looking for his flaws and you don't think it's like saying everything he does in the film is right, which I don't think it was, then I think you actually appreciate the film more.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because from my perspective, he and his war band did some horrible things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. Penelope, played by Anne Hathaway.
I thought she did well.
How they portrayed her. And I can't remember if I remember like my vibe of that character when I read the book, but in the movie, definitely seems like she is very bitter and sad. Like there's kind of
Yeah.
She's definitely like a depressed character.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, you would be if you've been kept in this liminal state, not knowing if your husband lived or died.
And you're a woman with no power.
A woman with no power who is being forced to marry another man potentially by the elders of the community.
I thought she played a really strong, like emotional role, like of the movie.
I thought so too. I will
she
say
had to kind of carry that weight a little bit, like it kind of showing the emotion.
I thought she did. Yeah, she brought some emotional color to the film that definitely
was lacking in some parts.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say that one critique I have heard, because let me just go into this real quick. So Christopher Nolan on tour for this film has repeatedly talked about a specific translation of the Odyssey that he says heavily inspired him. And this was written by Emily Wilson. She is the first English translation of the Odyssey by a woman. It was done in 2017. And she wrote an incredibly scathing review of the film.
Really?
Now, what I will say is this. I think, her expertise is in Homer's Odyssey, but she's not a film critic. And some of her critiques, I feel like, are valid from the standpoint of a historian or a translator who specializes in the subject matter the film's about. Some of her critiques, I feel like, go beyond her scope of what she knows.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to go into all the things that she said that were criticisms of the filmmaking, but I will talk about some things that I do see where she's coming from, and I actually agree in some instances. So the reason I bring this up now is because her critique of Penelope's character is that in Homer's Odyssey, Penelope is intellectually the equal of Odysseus. And she didn't feel like that was represented totally in the film. Now, I don't think Anne Hathaway came across as unintelligent. I don't think, in fact, she seemed, to me, she seemed intelligent. But I could see where that wasn't like showcased as much necessarily. And also like the fact that in the original poem, her agency is shown, like her ability to fight her own battles and
What?
and her being an equal partner with Odysseus is shown. You get glimpses, like the moment where she's like, "I've been on this throne that I'm not allowed to rule. I've been in this throne for 20 years," and basically talking about like how challenging that's been and how just because she doesn't have the stubble on her chin like her son, she can't rule technically, even though she's had all the responsibility and none of the credit.
I think she's like intelligent. Yeah, definitely. Like the scenes where she's like explaining the seriousness to Tom Holland's character, like the son, like saying, like, this is like serious. All these suitors are here. Like, you're in danger, and I'm in danger. Like, I think, but yeah, I get it. Like, it wasn't showcased as much, but I think it's still. I don't know. I think it's still there.
Right. The other thing that she brought up that I agree with to an extent is that the film is pretty much assumed the default position of the film is Odysseus's vantage point mostly. And because of that, they really center, like you said, Christopher Nolan decided to make it a story about personal grief and trauma for this war veteran and for this general in the military. But because of that, because it's told mostly through his lens, it doesn't necessarily flesh out the people who don't have powers. They're suffering the consequences of what the people in power have decided for them. It does display it. I would agree that it displays it, it shows it, but even like during the massacre, if we ever saw someone get stabbed or cut down, for the most part, their face were heavily obstructed by helmets, which, I mean, they would have been wearing helmets back then. But there was also women who were killed, but it would show them about to be killed, and then it
wouldn't actually show.
It would go off screen, and I get where that was probably a tasteful decision to not show the violence and not be gratuitous.
Yeah, because you don't want to be too much of a violent movie. Yeah,
but basically, by way of analogy, this author, this scholar argues that the perspective of the victims was largely masked, and while it was touched on, it was always through the context of the main character's guilt rather than these people having their own, true, like, representation of their own, like, why it was bad for them kind of thing. And she said that this is actually very, very much in contrast to Homer, because apparently, and again, I've only read like in a very abridged version in like junior high or something, apparently Homer goes to great lengths to humanize everyone in the story, even monsters are.
That I do remember. Yeah,
are humanized.
The book, like especially the Cyclops. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that he says in the story, the original story. Yeah. Because they do converse with. Yeah. With that. I also thought it was interesting how. I liked how they. Yeah, they made it super real as like far as like the Cyclops like having its own kind of look, and then.
They did.
Which was.
Do you know how they did that?
No.
They actually constructed a 60-foot puppet.
Cool.
This film, it uses some CGI to like enhance things, but for the most part, This is practical effects.
Well, and then like the scene with the pigs and stuff. That
Oh shit, that was crazy.
was crazy. Like makeup.
In a way, that was more disturbing to me than anything else.
I think so. Yeah, and the noise
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, that was pretty wild.
No, but to your point of like keeping things like very grounded and real in a way.
yeah, and they don't
Yeah.
even show the only. I mean, the only
They show Athena,
that's the only god that they show,
and she's played by Zendaya, and I think she does
which
cool. I think it's a cool interpretation of Athena.
I think it's
but
more-
it's not really like a cosmic.
it's not. But I feel like it's anytime you see Athena, that's all in Odysseus's mind.
Yeah,
You know, it's not actually like
Right.
because like in the book, a lot of these things are like actually the gods
happening.
are like boom,
they're
they're
intervening.
there.
Like there's Poseidon, there's
Yeah.
Zeus. Yeah,
But it's like in this, yeah, it is more real, but the gods are still involved, but you can't see them.
yeah.
You know, it's kind of, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that was a criticism she had. Also, was that the film was stripped bare of its cosmic scale, and I mean the story was stripped bare of its cosmic scale because of the way that Athena was portrayed and the complete omission of Zeus or Poseidon on screen. I mean, there's things that are allegedly their actions, like the
Yeah.
storms and stuff.
Yeah.
but you don't ever see Zeus or Poseidon or any of the other gods.
But I mean, it's a modern retelling, so I think
I know. I don't necessarily agree with her on this one.
So I think that's okay. I mean, in my mind,
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with her on that. What I would say I could get more on board with, and I think she brings this point up as well. And I've only looked up a summary of what she wrote very briefly before we started.
Mm-hmm.
She brought up how the poem shows that human wills are at the mercy of the gods' wills, which I think comes across. Even if you don't see Zeus in his power or Poseidon in his power or Athena isn't this great cosmic figure, I think it comes across that these people are subjected to circumstance.
yeah. I mean, they're still choosing to do all the things that they're doing.
Right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But if you want to read that, I look it up. I think if I'm being really, and maybe I'll ask you to cut this part out, but if I'm being really honest about what I think about Emily Wilson's review, I think she was given an unfair task in a way because she was asked to write a critique, and she's not a film critic. But I do think she seems to have capitalized on that and leveraged it in order to garner attention for her own work.
Yeah, I mean, because she's coming from like a scholarly standpoint,
And I feel like some of the overstatements she makes, which are less about, the history of the film, of the story, and more about like critiquing the screenwriting and that kind of thing. I feel like that is where I don't get on board with the review, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. There is one final thing I'll bring up, and I'm not sure if she talked. I know she talked about this, but I don't know if she talks about it in that review. But I saw a clip of her talking about it. So some people have felt like the portrayal of slaves was lacking in the sense that one of the key figures is they call him a servant, but the slave who oversees the pigs, but also is like Odysseus's most trusted
yeah,
slave. And I know, and there's other slaves that are in the film as well. He's just arguably the most central one. I know people felt like it was lacking in the sense that it didn't really show that those people couldn't have left if they wanted to. Like they were being held captive as slaves and made to work for Odysseus or the empire. And I think that is a fair criticism. I also know that slavery at that time was a very different institution than the chattel slavery of the transatlantic slave trade. I'm not saying that to minimize the fact that people were forced to do things and that it's horrible and that slavery should never have occurred. But I am saying, like, I know the institution was different. And a lot of the times in at least the American mind, I think our frame of reference for what slavery is the transatlantic slave trade. Yeah, anyway.
So why do you think Christopher Nolan made this movie when he did? Like, why do a retelling of the Odyssey?
My impression is that it's probably a story he's always wanted to tell. I mean, it's one of the great...
It's like an epic story,
it's like
yeah.
the great tale.
Yeah.
One of the great tales. But I think he also wove some things into the story that are very timely. And so throughout the film, there's these references to what are called the Sea People. And I don't know if you know about this. This is actually something that's super fascinating. So
Are you talking about, this is like a historical kind of thing?
this is a real thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Bronze Age, which the film takes place at the end of the Bronze Age, the Bronze Age had this incredible collapse. And it has been a great mystery because civilizations around the Mediterranean and European and parts of African world all collapsed at the same time. And there's been theories proposed for what happened, and we believe that a lot of it actually ended up having to do with climate. And that because of climate, resource scarcity occurred and displaced people were essentially like forced to move. And there were other factors as well. There were political actions and things that happened that also made things worse. But a big central piece of this mystery is the emergence of this group that is referred to historically as the Sea People. Now, the Sea People, for a long time, their identities have been a mystery. We don't know who they were. All that was known historically, basically, and again, I'm not a scholar in this, so I don't know everything, but all that was basically known was that they mysteriously emerged onto the scene and attacked multiple places and were able to overthrow entrenched powers that had been entrenched for a long time. Now, the theory that most historians have arrived at is actually that the Sea People were the displaced people who had been forced off their lands because of resource scarcity, and that they took to the water, and the reason they were pillaging and stuff was because they didn't have food to eat. So I thought the use of that was very interesting. And the reason I bring that up when you ask why did Christopher Nolan make this film now is because at the very end of the film, they're talking in terms of apocalypse, essentially. They're basically saying, like, people will only know this story because of songs that will preserve it, because the words we write will only be preserved as songs, and that civilization is collapsing. And there's a moment where Anne Hathaway's character says, like, civilization will rise again, and Odysseus, or I can't remember if it's Odysseus or Penelope, one of them says, and hopefully they won't make the mistakes we made.
Yeah, we made.
And I think we're at a moment in a lot of people's minds that feels like a precipice, that feels like the ending of an empire,
Like a societal breakdown.
Yeah. With so many uncertainties on the horizon, and with the state of affairs in the United States and globally, I think there's this profound sense that is felt by almost everyone in the cultural zeitgeist in the West that this is the end of something. And I think by incorporating the sea people into the story and incorporating this ultimately apocalyptic ending to the story, I think the film is meant to be a warning. And I think Christopher Nolan took hold of things that are in the cultural psyche right now and basically said, like, proceed carefully because this is how empires collapse.
Yeah, and then presenting it as a universal story.
Yeah.
I also, because in the movie it's interesting they talk about Zeus's law.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the golden rule, like do unto
Yeah.
others as you would do to them, and then you find out that Odysseus didn't do that. He kind of broke
Yeah.
that, and became he's part of the sea people. So I could see that
He
like,
does call himself one of the sea people. Yeah.
Yeah, so I could see that where it's like
Yeah.
Nolan's kind of making a commentary on the golden rule in some cases is
Yeah.
not being followed, and because of that,
Yeah.
societies will break down, and hopefully that doesn't happen to us. It's kind of a warning.
Yeah. Now, what I'll say is the part where that kind of falls a little bit apart for me is that if modern historians are right and the sea people were mostly displaced people, we need, to me, what needs correcting in our cultural context right now in the United States is not fear of outsiders. To me. And I think Nolan tries to kind of, with the Zeus law stuff, kind of say like, because like there's the beggars who come in and like they're supposed to be treated well because they might be a god. And
Yeah.
I think that part is like kind of trying to say like hospitality should be shown to visitors, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the interweaving of the idea of the sea people and just knowing the history, for me, it's like if those were truly displaced people, maybe the issue was that the powers that be forced them off their lands in the first place, and maybe the issue was a lack of resources and a lack of like, do you know what I mean? Like, so like what I'm trying to say is this, like, to me, the wisest thing you can promote right now, I'm not saying all art has to be political. I mean, but I am saying if you are going to have a political message in your art right now, to me, it seems much more timely to focus on the risk from within, not from outsiders who are themselves hurting.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess so. My final thoughts on the film. I think what we just talked about. I mean, I think that is the central message, because that's kind of what everything was leading up to. That's how the movie ends, like you were saying, that message.
Yeah.
So I think you hit the nail on the head.
Well, and he
chooses
chooses to be in exile.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically has to be in exile, but he takes the fate like in stride and like willingly.
Well, and it's also like they kind of make it romantic. Like, this is what we always wanted.
Right. But I thought
Like,
that
as a
was an
couple.
interesting choice. I don't know if that's part of the original story.
I can't remember.
I don't think it is.
But I think it works with the movie.
I think that was an interesting choice.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It was, in a way, it was like he had held so much power. He had so much responsibility. At one point in the film, his character says, "I've had all the rights and all the responsibilities." Because somebody's like, "What gives you the right?" And he's like, "I've had all the rights and all the responsibilities." And I think, for me, this film shows the loneliness of leadership, especially when there are no good answers. But it also shows to me that like the ending with him going into exile, I thought was a very interesting way to end, because it's basically saying like, I'm letting go of my kingdom because
It's the right thing to do.
I would rather have this life with my loved one, you know. I would rather not have the power. But sorry, well, I know I've talked a lot. There's one thing that I thought was interesting, Cole, and I thought this was interesting as well, and it ties back into this, is when Calypso, which, what's her name, the actress?
Charlize Theron.
Yeah. Wow, she's super pretty, by the way. Like, still. Like, she's she's older now, but holy cow, she's pretty. But anyway, I mean, she's supposed to be a sea nymph, so of course she's beautiful. But when finally she kind of facilitates Odysseus remembering his story and everything and sends him off on a raft, her instructions are to surrender to Poseidon, surrender to the sea,
Just let go.
and let go. And for the first time in your life, sacrifice something that you never have before, and that's control.
Yeah.
I
He's
thought-
always controlling, like
Yeah.
what. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. So to me, this film ultimately, this story ultimately was like how Odysseus attended the school of hard knocks given by the gods and circumstance,
Yeah.
and how he had character development. And because it's told from that lens, maybe you don't get the fleshed out stories of the victims or Penelope or, you know, other characters. But for what it is, I think it's worthwhile. I think it's a story that could potentially speak to a lot of veterans.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said. I think also, I just think like as far as filmmaking, I mean, just the shots are beautiful.
Beautiful.
Like how they went on location.
Yeah.
All the practical effects, you know, the things that Nolan is known for. I think that those things really shine through. His non-linear style of telling a story, I think, is always interesting, and it works really well with the Odyssey.
Yeah.
I thought the acting was pretty good. It wasn't like the acting didn't blow me away in this movie.
Yeah.
But the story is what's important.
Yeah.
The camera work, cinematography,
Yeah.
sound design, all of that stuff I thought was really good.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool. Like, it's a huge undertaking to take a classic story like this and then write it for film, and then on such a massive film.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then kind of make it kind of a modern retelling. That's quite the feat, and I think he did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would be the only thing, is I
Yeah.
felt like the acting wasn't as good as the other stuff, but the story is the most important thing.
I guess what I would say as far as the acting goes is it was believable,
Yeah.
but in a sense, it was often underacted instead of overacted. I think
Which is probably a good idea, because you don't want to
Yeah.
overact that.
I know people will criticize like Matthew McConaughey and stuff for overacting, but I freaking love his portrayal of the character in not Inception. What is the
and Interstellar.
Yeah, people say he overacts in that film. I love it because it gives you the emotional
Yeah.
timbre of the film.
Bam. Yeah.
But in this,
It's the story.
a lot of times I felt like Anne Hathaway delivers a powerful emotional performance. What's her name? Lupita.
The one that does Helena Troy.
Yeah, she in her portrayal of the twin,
Yeah.
when she gets revenge, that part was definitely emotionally acted. The one part where Matt Damon, there's two parts where I felt like Matt Damon really brought emotional stuff to bear, and that's during the scene with the sirens when he's tied to the mast.
Oh, yeah.
And then the second one is when he hasn't revealed yet to Penelope who he is. And he's on the other side of a veil thing.
Yeah.
And he's talking to her. But anyway, I know I've talked too much already, Cole.
It's okay.
As far as like films that are like based in the Greco-Roman Trojan world.
Yeah.
This might be my favorite.
I mean, you can't beat it. It's very believable. Like,
I think
as a
it's.
story.
I think I would 100% take this over Gladiator. I haven't seen 300. I don't know. I've seen like some bad movies about like Hercules that were bad.
Yeah.
I guess maybe my favorite film is the Disney Hercules.
That's a pretty good one.
No, but
Yeah, I think it's a good one. If you guys haven't seen it, go out and
what
check
are
it
you
out,
rating it?
Yeah, good question. Guess I hadn't really thought about it. I feel like this is a movie that I definitely want to see it again in IMAX. But if I had to, I really liked it. I think I'd do a 4.5. I'm not going to give it a 5, but 4.5, that's what I'd give it. It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. Really good story.
Yeah.
Good storytelling. Good filmmaking. I just think, there's like that little bit of emotional aspect that's missing there. I think to make it a 5 for me, but
Yeah. I want to highlight one thing, and then I'll give my rating. To me, the most profound moment in the film is that you've seen Athena throughout the film coming to Odysseus, visiting him in his mind, or we think in his mind probably, and you realize during the sacking of Troy that Zendaya, her character, that Athena bears the face of a victim of the sacking of Troy, because you see Zendaya's character being held by the
guards there.
Soldiers,
yeah.
And they are getting ready to decapitate her, and she's asking for mercy, and Odysseus doesn't give it. And then as the axe falls, you see the statue of Athena, her head comes off. And I think for me, that was the most powerful moment of the film, because it showed really what, to me, Christopher Nolan was driving home, and that is, this is a story of one man's grief and trauma and wrongs, and the price he's paid for them. And it was, to me, enough to give it a 5. I think cumulatively, everything taken together, I would give the movie a 5.
Nice. Yeah, I did think that was a cool touch that he threw in there.
Yeah.
Because it's like he sees Athena as
he's haunted by her.
By this victim, yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, throughout the film, what are they saying? We must entertain strangers because they might be
gods. Yeah.
in disguise.
Yeah, I like that tie. That's a really good tie-in. Yeah.
All right. Go see the film.
Yeah, go see it. Let us know what you guys think of it.
Wait. There's one thing we have to say, Cole.
Okay, go ahead.
There's one thing we have to say. The music. Okay.
Yeah.
This is perhaps more impressive than building a 60-foot puppet. The music. Because they enlisted a musician. We should look him up.
Yeah, I know who he is.
He literally had to...
It's Ludwig Grossen.
Yeah, he literally had to reinvent instruments that were attributed to the time because we didn't have them anymore.
Yeah.
And he tried very hard to use instruments that were of the time, and it's very cool. It's very, very cool.
I like that, the music's part of it, but it doesn't overpower the film.
No.
It's not like it's like, hey, look at this.
No.
Look at this instrument. You know, it's not distracting at all.
No.
I do like that, and I'm glad that he didn't put a trap beat in there. Because a lot of times this guy, Ludwig, he'll like throw like random weird stuff in movies that he's done music in.
You walked out during the credits, but they kind of played... I think it was Travis Scott.
Yeah, because he was part of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when me and Alex went and saw the Mandalorian, he did the music for that movie, and there's a scene that he puts like in it, like threw me out of the movie.
Well, I think he did very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just know he likes to throw those little things in there.
Nothing threw me out of the
But
movie.
luckily the music wasn't distracting.
Nothing threw me out of the movie except for a few choices as far as like what was said in the dialogue.
Right, yeah.
Like when what's his name who plays Cedric Diggory?
Yeah.
Like there was
He kept saying, "Grab the swords, grab the shields, grab the spears."
well, that was not the part
That was the one that kept throwing me off. I'm like,
I thought that was
he's
just showing that he's like reactionary and not a true leader.
I know, but
Yeah.
it's also just funny because he just keeps saying.
Right. It did take me out of it a
like,
little.
It would show his face. And
No, but some of his lines early on
I
in the
thought that
film
was
when
kind of
he's like
comical.
when he's like talking to Odysseus' son and he's like, "You just want your daddy," and like this stuff. I'm like, okay, this writing could have been better right there. And then most of the time that wasn't the issue with the dialogue. Some of the time the dialogue tried too hard to be poetic and grand. And I mean, it wasn't a problem for most of the film, but there was just a few times where it like took me out of it, where I was like, people wouldn't naturally say those things like in day-to-day conversation. Anyway,
Yeah.
great film. I'm giving it a 5,
Yeah. So
which I might have recency bias, but
nah, that's okay. Go out and see it, guys. If you like the podcast, make sure you like and share it with a friend and message us too. Is there any movies that you think we should check out or review in our episodes? Do you want to be on the podcast? Do you want to be a guest? Message us. We'd love to have you
I'm
on.
always looking for creative, interesting people to have on.
Heck yeah, we love doing this. So thank you again for listening, guys, and we will see you next time.
Bye.